This is the 2021 Honda CR-V. No, it really is. Come back, I promise you this is the new version. Now, it might not look a whole lot different to the version that launched 4 years ago, but Honda has decided to give its popular midsize SUV a midlife update. And although the changes are mild, there's still a lot to like from the things that carried over. Today we're going to have a look at some of the things that have changed and some of the things that haven't. And if you like this video, then do all the things, subscribe and like, but don't do it just yet, you might hate this video. Now, you might be struggling to see some of the aesthetic changes for the 2021 Honda CR-V, but there are some notable ones and they are worth pointing out. I'll start with the grille, which has now got a greater use of this nice gloss black finish instead of the rather gaudy fake chrome look of the previous version. And this lovely new trim that is full width from one side to the other in a choice of the silver and chrome finishes depending on the variant. Side to side adds a more dynamic and bold look. LED fog lights in here. And speaking of lights, new headlight design for some variants, including more LED technology. Moving around to the side, there on all variants are new designed alloy wheels, including on this one, which is the VTI L7, which means it gets an 18-inch wheel and a lovely machined finish on the face there with the painted spokes. Really classy look, really good way of lifting the whole overall profile. Speaking of profile, that has not changed. All the sheet metal in the 2021 version remains the same. The only bits to change are the more cost-effective bumpers and plastic bits. These lights have not changed for the facelift, but they are worth mentioning because there's very few models that actually use that tall pillar design. The other one, notably being Volvo, makes the car a lot easier to see from behind. It's a safety thing and a style thing as well. The facelift continues at the back, or should that be the bum lift, with this new designed rear bumper and more use of this nice sort of titanium look trim color. And underneath that there's a new exhaust trim which contains a real exhaust pipe, none of this fake business that some manufacturers seem to be going for, including Honda actually. There's another nice feature that joins the range for some of the variants with a hands-free opening boot. Power tailgate obviously comes with that. And a feature of that is you can hold this button to set the height at which the boot stops. That's really good for people who are perhaps not as generously altituded as I am. Lots to talk about in the boot, loads of space for a start, and this movable boot floor, which allows you to make better use of the space or make loading heavy items a bit easier. This one only gets the skinny version. I'll explain why that is in a minute, but all other versions get a full boot floor. Underneath that floor is this. Top marks for a full-size spare. None of the space-saving versions that some other rivals do, or, God forbid, one of those mobility kits with a can of goo and a pump. This has got to be one of the smallest cars on the market that offers a 7-seat option. Now, it might be a little bit cramped back here, and it does rob a bit of boot space, obviously, but you're not completely neglected if you manage to slot yourself back here. There's your own air conditioning, there's these little pop-out cup holders, and on certain variants you get privacy glass, depending on what you want to get up to back here. It would be perfect for kids or if you wanted to drag a couple extra mates back from the pub. The second row is a much nicer place to be. There's tons of space. I've got tilt and slide adjustment on these seats. They've also got Isofix child seat anchor points. And down here for charging devices, I've got 2 USBs with 2.5 amp charging capacity. And there's more of that privacy glass too. A clever carryover feature are these lovely deep doors that cover the sills all the way down, so that if you've been off-roading and you've made the car grubby, you don't get the backs of your legs dirty when you jump in. Of course, you're not going to be doing much off-roading in this because it's the VTI L7, it's front-wheel drive. There are all-wheel drive versions available, but this one, the bonus is it is very generously equipped. This seat for the driver is electrically adjustable, and the interior is covered in what they call leather-appointed upholstery. Now, what that means is it's not all real leather, some of it is synthetic. The good news, though, is it's such a convincing fake, I can't tell which bit is which. We've also got wireless charging with the update for some variants, and behind that, 2 more USB charging points, 1.5 amp and 1 amp, depending on the kind of devices you're charging. Loads of storage, this huge deep center pocket here with this removable piece, at least I hope it is, because if it isn't, I've just broken it. Twin cup holders here. Apparently you can have up to 10 cup holders in this car, quite while you're doing that much drinking on the go, I'm not sure. The 7-inch touchscreen here is a bit of a tease. It looks like it's going to be much bigger initially, and then it turns on and it's a little bit smaller. Not the largest in its class. And up here I have a sunglasses holder which doubles as what Honda says is a conversation mirror. It actually shows you a view of what's going on in the rear seats. I like to call that the shouting at the children mirror. Also got this lovely big panoramic sunroof. The interior has had a mild update in terms of the styling and the materials, but otherwise all of the good bits have carried over from the 2016 version. There's a slight reshuffle of the lineup and a price increase for all variants, with the entry-level version now starting at around $30,000. But you do get a lot of extra kit for your cash. But I don't have the list here, so here comes the voiceover. Kicking off the CR-V lineup is the VI, the only variant in the range with a non-turbo 2-litre petrol engine. Inside, it's gained a larger 7-inch screen, smartphone mirroring, and dual-zone climate control. Above that is the VTI, but one step up again, and the previous VTI E7 has been renamed the VTI 7, and the hyphen is gone. It's had its spec pruned of electric leather seats, and previous 18-inch wheels now measure 17 inches, allowing the VTI X, previously VTI S, to overtake it. Significantly, all versions above the VI now have Honda Sensing safety technology. Move up another rank again and the CR-V gets into all-wheel drive territory, starting with the VTI S, which has now been renamed the VTI L, while at the top of the pack there's the VTI LX. Just beneath it though is the front-wheel drive VTI L7, which gains the most significant amount of equipment with the update. And that's the one we have here. See, I was never going to remember all of that. Now let's have a look at some of the safety features. Previously, only a few variants of the CR-V got Honda's Sensing driver assistance technology, but now all but one, the entry-level VI, have it as standard. And that brings a whole suite of technology, including forward collision mitigation, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and even adaptive cruise control. And one of my favourite features that carries over to the new version is a blind spot camera that comes on in the central screen when you indicate left. It's such a good idea, I'm surprised more manufacturers are not doing that. It also has all of the usual safety features you might expect from a car of this caliber, including a reversing camera, which the resolution is not fantastic, and also I've noticed it gets a bit grubby when you've been driving in dusty conditions. Otherwise, it's fair. And it has driver monitoring, so if you can't be bothered to pay attention to any of those systems or the road, it can tell when you're actually not paying attention and it'll warn you about it. I'm very happy they haven't changed the main engine of the day in the CR-V, and that is this fantastic 1.5 litre turbo 4-cylinder petrol. Its strengths lie in mid-range torque, right where you need it. There's no point revving out to the red line because it makes a lot of noise there, let's be honest, and there's no meaningful performance. But for cruising around and pulling heavy loads, that nugget of torque in the middle of the revs is absolutely perfect. It's bolted to a CVT, continuously variable transmission. An auto I'm not a huge fan of, but in this application it works fine. You'll also get a digital dashboard, which is a plus point for a car like this. I don't know how I feel about the LED bar gauges that flank it though. I don't know if they're retro and cool or just a bit dated already. There's a really good feel to the CR-V cabin. It's light and airy thanks to this big sunroof and the positioning of those wing mirrors nice and low for a good view, but it also is spacious as well. It's not an illusion. There's tons of light, tons of space for all. Okay, it's a bit cramped up the back in the third row, but generally there's a good view of surroundings thanks to these skinny A-pillars for both the passengers and the driver. We found some pretty smooth roads to test the CR-V today, but every now and then we're finding the more typical Australian roads like that and that. And when we find those undulating and perhaps not best maintained surfaces, the CR-V does let a bit of vibration through. However, it does get plus points because we're riding on nearly the biggest wheel, 18 inches, and that's pretty impressive. The CR-V update is pretty light, but don't forget, this is still Honda's best seller, and as the old expression goes, if there's nothing wrong with a thing, then why consider fixing its unbrokenness? Or something like that. But what do you think? Is the refreshed but more expensive CR-V still good value? And does it deserve to be Australia's favourite Honda? Let us know in the comments, and if you like this video, subscribe, give us a like, tell a friend, or get a tattoo.